This episode is brought to you in part by MixFlip, the ultimate portfolio player for mixing and mastering engineers. Learn more at mixflip.io and use the promo code MYM to save $5 off your first paid month. Hey, welcome to the Master Your Mix podcast. My name is Mike Indovina, and thanks for hanging out today. Today, my guest is Andy Gesner, and if you're not familiar with Andy, Andy runs a promotion company called Hip Video Promo, where they help artists with promoting their music videos and their social media content, and basically helping artists come up with a strategy for marketing your music. I get asked all the time, hey, I just finished recording my record. What do I do now? How do I promote this? And that is why I brought Andy on today, because he's been doing this for years and years. He's worked with some major artists. He's worked with people like Johnny Cash, Maroon 5, Sia, Paramore, the Lumineers. He has worked with so many major artists. So he's seen it all. And what I really wanted to dive into today with him is that concept of how to promote that music that you're making and what things you need to be considering as far as marketing goes before you've even started recording. What kind of content do you need to be making? How do you actually release it in a way that connects with the fans? And ultimately, how to get the most out of your music. Because it's not enough just to release a great sounding recording of your songs, right? Like, there are people that have amazing songs that have been recorded really well, and they're just sitting on a hard drive somewhere, or they've been released on a post on Facebook saying, hey, here's new music, and that's all that the world has heard of them, right? So how do we actually make music get to new audiences, new ears, and build up your fan base? And so that's why I wanted to bring Andy on today. So if you're an artist who is either in the planning stages of recording a new album or single, or maybe you've already completed that album, but you're thinking, how do I actually maximize this? How do I market my music? I think this episode will be really helpful for you. So with that said, let's just jump right into my interview with Andy Gesner. Andy Gesner, thank you so much for being on the Master Your Mix podcast. How are you doing today?
Great, Mike. Grateful for the opportunity to speak with you. And I've been looking forward to this transmission for quite some time. Just many thanks for inviting me to be your guest.
Of course. For people who might not be familiar with you and the work that you do, or your background on ultimately how you got into everything you're up to these days, can you give us that story?
Wow, we're going back to the early 60s. It was February 9th, 1964. Talk about a memorable first coherent memory. Cold Sunday night, my sister comes running into my bedroom. I'm just a little kid, but she's 12 and she's all excited. She grabs me by the arm. She says, come on. Tonight's the night. We're going to watch Beatles on TV. Now, as a little kid, it's kind of, what's wrong with my sister? What chemical extractions is she on? What's going on here? I don't get it. I thought it was going to be some kind of insect show. I didn't know. So we go down to where the TV is, of course, a little black and white TV. It's 1964. And it's the Ed Sullivan Show. It is where all of America came together Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, to see what Ed Sullivan was going to be showcasing that week. So I remember it vividly. I had my sister on this side of me, and I had my older brother. He was 13 on this side of me, right? Parents are behind me on the couch. And Ed does his thing. And you can go to YouTube, you can see the footage. And he spins his arm around. And now the Beatles. And my sister starts screaming like all the girls in the Ed Sullivan Theater. And she's twirling around like a whirling dervish. And I'm kind of like, shh, come on, let's hear what's going on. And I look to the right of me, and I see my brother, and my brother's jaw is just like hit the floor. Because in 1964, the world had never quite seen something like this. And if it was these four guys from Liverpool emoting this vibration, this energy, I caught it. I wasn't sure what it was, but I 100% caught it, because I remember looking behind me I looked at my parents. They were aghast. My my father had that mean look on his face. And I remember my mom giving me the icy eyeball, like, don't look at this, don't look at this. I think for parents in that early 60 time frame, they didn't want to be subjecting their children to such rubbish, such garbage. I mean, it to them it was just this cacophony of noise. But of course, to the younger generation, it was happening. It was like a huge moment in human history. I mean, after all, it was the Beatles. And I remember for the next 2 months, they had the number one song on Billboard, the number two song on Billboard, the number three song on Billboard, the number four song on Billboard, and the number five song on Billboard. That is a feat likely not to be repeated. And I just got sucked in. I mean, it was the 45 RPMs. I remember listening to them with my older brother and sister. And then, of course, the 70s come along and it was the hi-fi system. I mean, it was the hi-fi system. You had the big ass speakers and you had the turntable and you had the 8-track tape player. And hopefully you had a Marantz tuner because you wanted to tune into your favorite radio stations. And I was just hooked. I mean, let's face it, we all listen to music to feel a way that we'd rather be feeling. And all I know is that feeling, and you know it, Mike, or maybe you don't have a turntable, I don't know, but that feeling when you pull out the record and you take it out of the sleeve, very careful not to get your fingerprints on the vinyl, and then you take it and you lay it down on the turntable, and then you pick up the needle and you turn it up loud, and you bring that needle over and you drop it on that first groove, and you can hear the little crackles and the little imperfections, but the adrenaline's flowing because you know what the first song is. And then it hits and your life changes. And if you've got the headphones on, I mean, it's why we listen to music. We want to feel a way we'd rather be feeling. So if it's an hopeful, intimate encounter with a beautiful teenage girl when you're in ninth grade, you pick the best of bread. But if you want to rock out and feel invincible, you listen to Led Zeppelin 2. Or if you want to groove to some Marvin Gaye or feel a bit odd and peculiar with David Bowie, I mean, it's all right there. And here we are now in 2025, and the choices, Mike, the choices are off the hook. I mean, it's absolutely out of control, but it wasn't too long in those 70s years where I realized that if I went out and bought a bass guitar, because I got the vibration that pretty girls liked boys who played in rock bands. Mike, true or false? Is that true or false?
True, but it's always the drummer. It's not the bass player. Come on, let's be real.
I know.
That's why I got into drums.
And the drummer always has the excuse when it comes to the marketing and stuff. They always say the same thing. Hey, man, count me out. I got to load all this crap in and out of the venue every time. So don't look to me.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so that's what got you into it then. You like the Beatles changed your life, and then from there, like you picked up your bass and you started playing. And what eventually led you to understanding the marketing side and getting into all of that?
Actually, it was immediate. I mean, when I heard the Talking Heads, and of course, being a teenager during the embryonic beginnings of new wave music, it was remarkable how listening to more songs about buildings and food, you appreciated that, hey, I'm a suburban nerd too. And these four people are making it okay for us suburban nerds to form a rock band. And that's exactly what my mates and I did. We formed a rock band. And like many of the people you work with, we were recording music. And we were faced with that same question. It's like, okay, well, now what do we do? And there wasn't an internet to give you info, but we had a really good engineer, and he said, well, I can give you some pointers. First thing you want to do is you want to go to the venues and you want to go check out the other bands. What great advice. It's like, make friends with your competition and don't necessarily look at them as your competition. Look at them as people that if you make friends with them, maybe they'll invite you to open for them at their next show. Or you can, if you're in college, go join the college radio station. What a great way to ensconce yourself in what's happening. He also said you want to put up posters around town. Now, I get it. You really can't do that anymore without getting thrown in the who's gal. But back in the day, that was all good. That was okay. So for us, it was all about making great posters, getting them up all over town, and find the prettiest girl you knew, walk around the venue while you're performing, and get people to sign up on your mailing list. And then at the last week of every month, you take your 4 or 5, 6 shows you have for the next month, put them all on a nice little postcard. And I think our mailing list was up around 1,800 people, but it was only 18 cents a stamp. So you could market to 1,800 people for $360, which wasn't too bad. Idea was is people would get that pretty little well-designed card in their post box along with their junk mail and their bills. Mike, what did they do? They put it on their refrigerator. The best marketing ever. And it stayed like that for 20 years. Then all of a sudden, we have the World Wide Web, and all bets are off. And all of a sudden, you had to kind of work that schematic in tandem with how can we get more people to discover us via these online platforms and what to do. And all of a sudden there's Facebook and there's Twitter. And then before you know it, there's Instagram. And there's all these different places. And it just became overwhelming for so many people. And for many, they say many perish due to lack of knowledge. They didn't embrace it. They didn't take advantage of the opportunities. And I've told every one of my clients here at HIP, man, you don't have to do any of this online stuff, but if you don't, it's going to suck to be you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's something that I hear all the time from people, that it's just like, oh, it should be all about the music. I don't want to do promotion. And it's like, cool, well then, what do you expect to have happen? Like, because everyone else is doing it. So what makes your product stand out from everyone else? Because it's not going to be visible to people if it's not around where people are, It's like it's the equivalent of you putting up flyers, so people see it and then they know where to go. But if you're not on social media, then you're kind of in the dark with that stuff.
Andy, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I'm a bit of an introvert. I really don't like having to get camera ready and go in front of the camera. And after all, Andy, people really don't care what I have to say or what I think or what I'm passionate about. I always say the same thing to them. I say, well, I was just by Best Buy. They do have opening. What are they thinking, Mike? It's like, come on. The best thing you can ever be in life is yourself. And if you're not going to level up, put your inhibitions on the back burner, time to find a new vocation.
Yeah. You have to be keeping up with the trends. Like, that's just how the industry works. It's like if you work at a day job, that business is going to be evolving, and you're going to have to your role is going to evolve as you hold on to that desk job. Like, so why not just do the same for your own music?
Mm-hmm. It's true. It's true. You've got all these different paths into your musical creative tent. Why have roadblocks on any of them? People will say, well, TikTok is nothing more than the internet's junk drawer. And I say, yeah, of course, but there's still people on there who could discover you. And if you're going to be posting on Instagram and putting up your YouTube short and putting the same post on Facebook and X, it's only going to take you a little extra time to put it up on TikTok. Why exclude anyone? Why prejudge, have prejudice against a certain platform just because you don't like it? I mean, I see this a lot. People, they don't realize that the rock and roll intelligentsia, the people who write and marketing people and label people, they're all on X. So you may not like X or don't like the owner. Who knows? The point is that you want to position yourself for the best opportunities to grab a casual fan. And if you've got the fan checking you out, it's like you're throwing this endless, perpetual party. People are going to show up at your party. You got to be at the door. You got to be greeting them. You've got to be acknowledging them. You got to be showing them the warm and fuzzy. You can't just ignore them. Oh, but I'm busy, Andy. I got a regular job and I just had my second kid. I mean, keeping up with everything online is just such a headache. I'm like, yeah, well, it's a headache for everyone else there, sport. What am I going to tell you other than you got to be doing the things you're less talented, much more lazy competition? Yeah, they're not going to do. Having that kind of mindset that you really want to be at the door of your party, treat others the way you'd want to be treated. Because think of all the parties you've gone to. It's a Friday night. You're beat to hell. You really don't want to go, but you don't want to let your friend down who invited you. And you get to the party and it's kind of hard to find a place to park. And you're already feeling kind of ornery and cantankerous and cranky. And you get to the door and you knock and you look in. It's like, I don't know any of these people. Where's my buddy? Where's the host? So you kind of go in and say, hi, is Bob here? Yeah, I think he's sucking face with some cute young hottie in the back room. I don't know if he's going to be out for a while. And you just, why did I even bother? So just remember, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. So if people are coming and checking you out, make them feel welcome, because that will take the casual fan and it'll make them a super fan. And Mike, you and I both know super fans, they do all the work for you because they're so excited about what you got cooking. They tell all their friends. And the super fan is usually the person within their little clique of friends who is the, quote, music guy. So just remember, you can't just have a huge rush of fans coming your way. You've got to create your fan base one person at a time.
And it's not even just about having a lot of casual fans. It's about having like dedicated fans. You can have a very successful career with a small number of big super fans. Right. And I think that's just by creating that connection. I think that's where a lot of people kind of lose sight of that it's not just about playing your music. It's about actually connecting with people, making people feel close to the band or to your solo artist or whatever. Yeah, I think that's where all of the social media stuff really comes in, where you can create those connections. And it's not just creating content for content's sake. It's creating it for connection's sake.
Absolutely. No truer words have ever been spoken.
Hey, real quick, just want to take a second to tell you all about our awesome podcast sponsor, MixFlip. If you are a mixing or mastering engineer looking to stand out, you need MixFlip, the interactive portfolio player that's built to help you get more clients. With MixFlip, visitors can flip between a rough mix and your final mix or master in real time, allowing them to hear the transformation that you bring to the projects you work on. Plus, create traditional lossless players and mobile-optimized landing pages that are perfect for your social bio. Start winning more clients for free today at mixflip.io. And when you're ready to upgrade, use promo code MYM to save $5 on a premium plan. So then, thinking about a band who has just made some music and they're like, okay, cool, we're going to record a record and, put this album out. Like, where should they, or maybe a better question is like, when should they start thinking about album promotion and all the marketing that goes into this?
You've got to be thinking about that as you're wrapping up the sessions, because at those last couple of days of mixing and you're getting ready to go to mastering, you got that little opportunity there. Chances are you already have the artwork completed and you're thinking, okay, how can I get the biggest bang for my buck with this new release? Well, you want to make sure that you have the marketing. Because if it's 20% the great music you've made, it truly is 80% the marketing you implement. Now, how do you put together your marketing team? And I'm appreciative that there will be those out there that say, hey, everything I do is DIY. I ain't hiring anybody. Like, all good, man. More power to you. Good luck with that. Anyway, I would say that now more than ever, and I'm not saying this just because I promote music videos, we do have a human family that listens with their eyes. They just do. They're so used to having a visual component. And I would argue that your music video is the cornerstone of your identity. Who are you? What makes you special? Why should the world pay attention? And sure, you've got a great song, but if you try to call in the visual, or the visual is poorly shot, or not well crafted, or not compelling, you're only doing yourself a disservice to release said video. So you really have to think about all the spokes of the wheel. And that could very much, most likely, include a music video. So experience is a hard teacher. She gives the test first and the lessons afterwards. So picking a videographer is just like picking a marketing person. First thing you want to do, let me see who you've worked with. And if the marketing company or the videographer isn't readily available to show you what he's got, that's a big red flag. Then you can ask for references. Anybody out there that isn't happy to share with you references, it's another huge red flag. I mean, when people come to record with you, Mike, they're sold already because they know people that have worked with you and all they ever heard was great things. So how many times have we spent our marketing resources and ended up getting snookered? It happens all the time. And it's all because it's the old Bible passage, many perish due to lack of knowledge. So you really have to do your homework. And don't be bashful about asking for references or testimonials. Not the testimonials on the website, testimonials on the Facebook. Because on the website, people can put whatever the hell they want. I go and, I'm looking for a dentist or I'm looking for a new power washer. And you go and you read the Google reviews. They're all freaking fake or they're paid for. And it's funny, I wonder if the company realizes that the savvy of us amongst the human family, we know that these are fake reviews. And we know that we're not going to go and give them our business. And it's the same with musicians. You start buying fake views on YouTube and you start buying fake followers on your social media, or you decide there's even people who buy fake comments, Mike. Fake comments. Are you so void of any self-respect that you're going to stoop to that level of dishonesty? I mean, here you just spent all this time and effort to make this music, which is the genuine, authentic, earthy, organic you. Nobody likes a fake phony fraud. Nobody likes a liar, faker, fairy tale maker. Don't buy fake stuff. It's only going to be, and it's going to come back to bite you in the back end because eventually, the platforms are going to see that everything you got going on is a bot or is fake, and it's only going to cause you heartache and headaches down the road. So these are just some of the tidbits that I tell every client because you don't want to be faking it. It's just not the way to go. And I get it. People want to get from 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds. Doesn't happen that way. You got to do things thoughtfully and methodically, and you always have to exude that genuine, authentic approach to things, or you're going to be, as the kids like to say, SOL.
So then, as far as marketing your music, then, I mean, you mentioned video being something that you think is really important. And obviously, we mentioned social media as well. Why is it that you think video is so important these days? Like, obviously, I mean, it's everywhere, right? It's on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. I guess maybe the first question to that would be like, what is it about video that you think is so important compared to maybe other social media posts, that kind of thing?
It's the full package. It's also a creative statement. So now a lot of people will say, well, there's really no reason to have a full-fledged official music video. All you really have to care about is short form content. But of course I would disagree because I promote music videos. Short form content only tells part of the story. And with visuals, what's beautiful is that you're literally giving life to your sonic creation. What do you see when you close your eyes and you listen to this song? And with YouTube being the second largest search engine on the internet, you have to realize that a video of a static image with your song on it doesn't sizzle as much as your song with a lyric video. I mean, if you're really adverse to doing an official music video, at least have a lyric video. That also involves being creative and telling a story. And it allows the person who has embraced the song to learn the lyrics, perhaps sing along with it. Just know that the days of just listening are over. You really need to figure out how you can use visual content. Remember, an official music video can be cut up into smaller, much more digestible bites. And that can be used for your online platforms, your YouTube shorts, your TikTok posts. Any way to keep them in your arena is what you need to be thinking about doing, because there's a lot of competition out there. You want to keep them and you want to continuously hit them with new content. People will ask, what's the secret to success in 2025? Consistent, sustained promotion. Many clients will say, Andy, I've got 6 singles lined up and I don't know what to do. Well, I know what to do. We're going to do a 60-day grind. And just like the back of the shampoo bottle where it says shampoo, rinse, repeat, that's what we're going to do. Now, some clients will say, well, I'm looking to have 4 new releases this year. All right, that's a 90-day grind. So we are just now beginning, for the people who are doing the 60-day cycle, we're starting what will be the second single of 6 throughout the year. And let's face it, the algorithms mimic the human attention span. So for all those clients who hit while the hitting was good in that first, second week of January, when it's a very quiet, uncluttered music landscape, they had great success throughout January and February. But every song will rise and then it will start to go away. What happens if you don't have a follow-up? Man, people are going to forget you. They're going to move on to someone else, someone who's maybe a little more consistent. Where did that person go? That first song was so good. So anticipate that. So now we're starting for the people doing the 60-day grind. We're starting it all over again. We released the lyric video, and now we're going to get an exclusive online world premiere for the official music video. Of course, there are still people supporting the video and the song that we were pushing hard in January and February. But all of a sudden, there's a new joint. It's like, okay, it's obvious this person's in it to win it. He's back with a new video. And all of that great exposure and attention and buzz and uptick on your community online, it all continues to move in an upward trajectory. Problem is, you can't follow up a great track and a great music video with a dud. You can't call in the second offering. Sure, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression, but Mike, you don't get a second chance to make a second impression. And so that is why this world, this music making, music marketing world, is not for the faint of heart, because you just got to always be on it, and you have to be really passionate about it, and you have to save up the financial resources to do it. So it really does separate the men from the boys in that if you can stay consistent and continue to release great quality content and do it on a consistent basis and never find yourself calling it in, because your fans are going to know when you're calling it in, you're going to be one of those independent artists that's going to be on the fast track to doing what I wanted to do, that you, Mike, you wanted to do, certainly what your clients want to do. They want to make music and nothing else. They don't want to work their crappy ass crap day job. And they don't want to have to play in the cover band on Friday nights at the local venue because they need a bass player. Because you don't want to be in a cover band. Actually, it makes you feel dirty. You want to be making your own stuff. So, all I can tell you is that 24 years of helping others after 20 years of doing it all, I've seen pretty much every scenario. And wouldn't you agree, Mike, the last 5 years, man, it's been some kind of freaking kick in the head. I mean, with all of the issues, health, finances, the clubs closing up, just mentally too, the last 5 years have been a kick in the head, a kick in the brain. Have you noticed a lot of the most talented people you knew in 2019? They ain't doing it anymore.
Yeah, a lot of people got burned out. That's for sure.
They sure did.
Yeah. So then, like, I kind of believe that just releasing a music video, it's kind of just like releasing music on its own, right? Like, just having a video release doesn't do anything to prolong itself, right? Like, you mentioned like a 60-day or 90-day cycle. So that's more than just releasing a video one day and saying, hey, our video's out, and hope for the best, right? So what does an actual like 60-day or 90-day cycle typically consist of? Like, what should people be planning during that time?
All right, you are your story. Probably the greatest blessing here. I was a journalism and mass media major at Rutgers University, class of 1989. And I always thought if I couldn't do the music thing, playing in rock bands, I'd write for Rolling Stone or Spin Magazine or maybe get a gig covering America for NME, who knows? But I always enjoyed writing about music. And one of the first things you need to do is you have to get your story straight. Who are you? What makes you special? Why should the world pay attention? And I appreciate that as the artists themselves, you are not the person to write your own story. You're too close to it. What you need to do is you need to find a professional, someone who's actually done it many times. So, over the course of promoting 4,800 music videos since the year 2000, I've gotten to tell all these stories. And sometimes you're telling the story from the ground up. Like when 30 Seconds to Mars came to us in 2002, it's like, yeah, we get it. A lot of people are going to count us out because you got an actor fronting the band. I get it. But we're going to be the exception, not the rule. And that first 30 Seconds to Mars video, Capricorn, a brand new name, talk about an epic video. I think Jared must have done some kind of deal with the videographer, like, hey, I'll be in your next short film if you make this epic video for me. People counted them out before they even started. I remember checking in with Maroon 5, 2005. Like, I get it, man. There's just so many LA bands. How the hell are we going to break through? I say, hey guys, great music will always find an audience. Just stay strong, keep fighting the good fight. Your time will come. Their time came pretty quick. I remember going to interview Paramore on their first tour. We were promoting their first video on Fueled by Ramen. Interview was set for 7:30, so 7:30, 7:35, 7:45. And I look at my hipster staffer. I say, I don't know. Finally, the bass player comes out and he looks a little anxious. And I think, I don't think we're going to get this interview. And he came up, he said, you Andy? Hip video promo? Yeah. Just wanted to come out. And I'm like, this ain't going to happen. This ain't going to happen. And it was their first tour. And he says, if you're okay, Haley, her voice is kind of roughed up, a little bit shot, because this is the second to last show on the tour. If you're okay with her just speaking maybe more softly than a regular speaking voice, my bandmates and I will be out in about 5 minutes. And I said, this band is going to be huge. Because most bands would be like, my voice is shot, I can't do it, tell them we can't do it. No, they realized it was important to do it, and they did it. And did we care that she was speaking a little something? No, we didn't care, right? I remember in 2007 when the first Sia video hit our desk, and people were a little suspect. I mean, she wasn't the enormous talent she would become to be. Remember, when you're first starting out, you're not going to be the same creative you are 3-4 years in, or dare I say 7-8 years in. Everybody's got to start somewhere. And I've seen firsthand from small acorns, big oak trees can grow. And that young lady from Australia has done pretty good for herself. 13 years ago, 2012, we had just gotten back by Southwest. We had done our interview with the Lumineers. And Ho Hey hadn't broke yet. But we saw at the shows that March of 2012, people really liked that song. And the band explained to us how when they were doing the shows in Brooklyn, you have a real tough time getting people in Brooklyn to pay attention to anything. And obviously, folk Americana was not a thing in 2012. Sure, Mumford and Sons had come out pretty strong, but that song, Ho Hey, I remember calling the programmers. They're like, oh, Andy, this is okay, but we don't play novelty songs. I'm like, novelty song? What are you talking about? Yeah, it doesn't fit our filter. Making excuses why it didn't fit, right? But that song, immediate earworm. What was it? What was it? Was it do, 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 who knows what it was, or the sing-along chorus? I don't know. But that song is living, breathing proof that great music will always find an audience. And for all the naysayers up front that said, nah, this song isn't going to have any kind of impact, well, we saw it. And by the summer of 2012, you heard it everywhere. You heard it in the television commercials. You're at the stoplight on your local Miracle Mile and you hear the song coming out of the radio. Happened to me here in New Jersey. And then at the end of the song, it was the bumper Z100. And I'm like, oh my God, the Lumineers Ho Hey is on Z100. It just goes to show you, you never know. And you're right, Mike, you gotta put stuff out there. And I get it, a lot of people are anxious and they're self-conscious. What if people don't like it? Stop that. That's so counterproductive to your musical career. You know, have some testicular fortitude.
Well, I agree with you that, great music will find its audience for sure. But that said, I also know that there are thousands of people listening to this podcast who believe that they have great songs, and those songs are not finding their audience right now. And, you mentioned that you believe the story is like, that's when we're talking about that 60-day cycle or 90-day cycle, you mentioned story being the thing that helps to spread that song. So what can that artist who's listening to this right now who feels like nobody's paying attention to my music, like, how do they tell their story? What does that typically look like for the artists that you're working with? Like, what kind of advice are you giving to them as far as, maybe social media topics to talk about or that kind of stuff? Like, where do they start in actually telling that story?
You got to hook them to cook them. As Tom Petty said, don't bore us, get to the chorus. So when you write your story, Joe met Keith in 7th grade, and at the time, Joe had just learned how to, come on. You gotta hook them to cook them. So that's why I suggest getting a professional writer. Because just like anything else, you want to grab them right out of the box. You want to get them to keep reading. And there's over 4,000 pitches on hipvideopromo.com. You can go to our all clients page and pick out all your favorite artists. And you can see how we wrote those stories. I mean, you get done reading the story and it's like, well, before I move on here, let me go watch this video. So that really is what you want to do. You want to create an excitement and anticipation that, I really got to check this out. And what's important is you don't just say, hey, this coming Friday, we're going to put the video up on my YouTube. Forget that. You want to get the video to be an exclusive online world premiere on a top-tier website or blog. It is your most potent and powerful piece of marketing currency. So get the best ROI you can. And then once that premiere happens, figure out a way to pitch it to MTV or BET or Music Choice or CMT. I mean, what do you got to lose? I mean, they got to program something. Or you notice how when you go to all the different department stores and specialty stores, you're shopping for sneakers at Foot Locker and you buy the sneakers and then you go to the gym to work out, or you're on a cruise ship and you're at the bar and you see music videos playing all over the place. It's all about the customer experience. That's why they're there. Why are there videos and journeys and hot topics? Because they want to enhance the customer experience. So why not get your videos placed in there? And then, of course, there are all these new channels. You got your Roku, your Amazon Fire TV, your Google Chromecast, your Apple TV, Pluto. This is visuals delivered via the internet. Not only are you attracting new fans, bringing them into your community, but it's international because it's visuals delivered via the internet. All someone has to have is an internet connection. So whether they're in Idaho or Indonesia, it doesn't matter. Europe or Australia, New Zealand or India. I mean, it's just, if you've got a visual, we live in a video-centric world, you might as well figure out, how can I get the maximum amount of viewers here? And that's where a company like Hip Video promo comes in, because 24 years in, we know who the decision makers and the gatekeepers are. We get it. They get hit up by a lot of people trying to get their music videos played. But what sets us apart? We're not shit merchants. We are very curated here. Yeah, I'd rather tell a client that their music video they've sent to us, hoping that will help them, I would rather tell them it is not a good first impression than to fib to them and tell them that it is. And I would say 1 out of 10 might get a little miffed, but the other 9 are like, you are a rare breed in this business, because most people would just say the video was outstanding and take our money. I say, well, that's terrible, because this video would not have helped you. It would have hurt you. Because if we had been one of those others that would have taken your money, all these people would have seen the video and they would have agreed with us. There ain't no way in HE double hockey sticks that I'm going to program this video. But then when you go ahead and ditch the terrible videographer and get a great videographer and you make an awesome new video, all those people are going to remember the POS you sent them and probably not even look at the good video. So I've spent 24 years saving Indie Nation from themselves, talking themselves off a cliff, off a ledge, in that you really have to be appreciative that if you're not putting your best effort out there and creating content, visuals, music that's really going to move the needle for you, you need to hang back until you're ready to do just that.
So I'm going to play the jaded poor musician card here. And I imagine that there's people listening to this right now that are hearing you talk about, having high quality video, hiring a company to help you promote it. And immediately in their heads, they're thinking, I can't afford that. This is going to be too ridiculous. And so I imagine that is a very common scenario in indie land for sure. So first off, I guess, what do you think people should realistically be budgeting to get started with promoting their music, whether it's through video or hiring a company like yours or all marketing in general?
Right. Well, if you go back 25 years, you had to shoot a music video on film. So you're already $3,000, $3,500, $4,000 in the hole before you even shot any film, because you had to buy the film. You couldn't just shoot something on digital. That wasn't going to fly. Here we are 25 years later. The technology is just magnificent. And some of the videos that have done the absolute best were not expensive undertakings. Take the Lumineers video, for instance. It was 2003 when Lost Highway, after many phone calls, this was just when we were first starting out, back when you had to call people because the email wasn't really a real thing yet. And they called and they said, well, we have this video, Andy, and it was very, very cheap to make, but we really don't know what to do with it. And of course I asked, well, who's the artist? They said, well, Johnny Cash. My jaw hit the floor. I said, wow, well, that's the most iconic American musical legend of my lifetime. They said, yeah, but the problem with the video, Andy, is in the video, it kind of looks like he's about ready to shift off this mortal coil. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, what is he in a hospital bed? What's going on? And then they said, and what's more is it's not his normal repertoire. It's a Nine Inch Nails cover. And I'm thinking to myself, what is this? So they said, look, we'll overnight a VHS to you. That's what we did in 2003. They would overnight a VHS tape. And we watched the Johnny Cash Hurt video. Once we had wiped the tear out of our eyes, I called the label. I said, put us in, coach. We want to play. And the rest is history. Very inexpensive video, but it was Johnny Cash. And it was Johnny Cash doing a Nine Inch Nails cover. And it's just I would say I dare anyone to come up with any other music video of a cover that has stood the test of time, like that Johnny Cash Hurt video.
But again, I think people are going to hear this and think, well, that's Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash could like make a video of him taking a crap and somebody's going to love it, you know? So like, and people pay attention to it. So for like the small independent artist who has no following whatsoever, nobody knows they exist, you know, when they're planning their budget, they're planning kind of how they're going to release things. Like how much should people be thinking about like budgeting at that point? Or what kind of video content do you think is going to be best suited for them to at least get people paying attention?
Well, I think one of the things you need to do is you need to look inside your immediate community. You will have friends who are also in bands. Chances are they have music videos. You might have someone in your purview who went to film school, maybe even never shot a music video. But we all know if you want it done right, you want to do it yourself. And most music videos that really do stand the test of time are not just a straight ahead live video or a called in affair. You really have to put some creative energies into it, in that you know when you've got a great visual. I mean, and we've all watched music videos that when we get done in the video, we have no other visceral urge than to watch it again. And you look at your budget. Let's just say, I don't know if I could spend more than $1,500 on this. Well, you got to make it work. And just remember, there are many, many things you can do to make sure that that video really does provide the best return on investment. Don't do something where you're spending the first 45 seconds of the music video setting it up and the music doesn't start until a minute in. That's a buzzkill. Keep the Mary Jane at home. Don't put it in your video. Firearms, not good. Blood, no blood. Don't try to get cutesy if you're an up-and-comer. Try to do something that's going to be memorable. Sometimes all you have to do is think about some of your own favorite music videos. And if you analyze them carefully, you'll realize, no, this really probably wasn't that expensive. Because remember, it doesn't matter about the wardrobe or the choreography or the lighting. What's most important is the song. So find a list of videographers, pick their brains, get 3 or 4. Say, hey, I want a treatment from you. We ain't going to hire you until you come up with a great treatment. And be forewarned, you could come up with a great treatment and we might not even pick you as a videographer. If they're hungry and they want to work with you, they're going to come up with something really outstanding. But just remember, that curtains up day for your song, that is like hitting the beaches at Normandy. Failure to plan is like planning to fail. So you have to have all of these other important spokes of the wheel in place. You want to make sure that your social media sites are all up to snuff. You want to make sure that YouTube link is fully optimized. Is there an effective call to action? People are like, Andy, I don't know about this call to action thing. It's like, I'm going to feel like I'm needy. Do I really have to include a call to action? I'm like, well, don't make it sound so needy. Hey, I'd love to know what you think of my new video. Your opinion counts, so please share. Just putting that at the top of your YouTube description. Hey, hope you've enjoyed my new music video. I'd really embrace the opportunity to find out what you think of the video. Your opinion counts, so please share. Now, to me, that makes me like the artist even more because they're humbled enough to know that as much as they may think the video is excellent, that they're actually encouraging the public at large to share their thoughts. I think that's a good look for any independent artist. What's more, the human mind is set up. If given the choice between doing something and doing nothing, Mike, you and I both know what they're going to do. They're going to do nothing. So if you just give them a gentle nudge, hey, really curious what you think of this new video, please share in the comments. That way, instead of only having 14 comments after 2 days, you've got 37 comments. And then you reply to all those 37 comments with a nice thank you very much, appreciate it. And all of a sudden you got 74 comments. And we all know that when we go to watch a video, oh, how many views are there? Wow, there's 74 comments. This is definitely popping. So sometimes just looking at your art the way that the end user might look at it is a very important task in your musical journey. Because if you can just step out of the artist's role and put yourself into the listener or the viewer's role, you might find yourself moving up the rungs of the ladder much quicker. And obviously, consistency. Sure, the video comes out, there's a lot of buzz, but then a week later, you're doing a remixed version, or you're releasing the behind the scenes of the music video. Create events around your music. Do an Instagram Live with the videographer. Or let's say there's some great actor and actress in the video. Have them on your IG Live. In other words, you want people to like you. Sure, they like the music, but do they like you? Work towards having these people who are fans of your music, work on having them be fans of you. Because if they like the music and they like you, you have got a super fan in perpetuity. And if you're able to just appreciate that you are your story and that true fans are going to want to know what you're up to, what you're passionate about, you can make some really crazy, beautiful connections with people. Just commenting on things like, with a lot of the posts I do, Buster the cat, our official mascot, if we're unboxing a video of merchandise from one of our clients, cats love boxes, he's always there. Or we're coming up on the spring of 2025, or perhaps when you're watching this, it is already the spring of 2025. Well, we're in the Garden State. I really enjoy showing some of my garden outstanding successes on the socials. And I get it. There are going to be the people who will be like, hey, we really don't want to see your sorry ass garden. It's not what we came here for. But they see the passion, they see the fire in my eyes, and they see how much I like it. Hopefully it makes me more of a likable person. I've seen situations where just being a Philadelphia Eagles fan will create excitement amongst other people. Because it's like, wow, you're an Eagles fan? I didn't know that. I was like, yeah, I grew up in the suburbs of Philly. I saw the Eagles at Franklin Field in 1969 before they moved into Veterans Stadium. So, yes, don't be bashful. Remember, you are your story and you shouldn't be afraid to tell it.
Yep, I love like that. To me is like the kind of stuff that I was hoping we would get into here today, because I do think that, yeah, like that idea of releasing a song and putting it out there and hoping for the best, or putting out a music video hoping for the best, like people have been doing that forever. But it's all that in between stuff. It's like those behind the scenes things that you were talking about. That is the marketing. That is the stuff that promotes the product, which is your music video or your music, And so, yeah, I think getting into those things is really important. And I think it ties back to what we talked about earlier of just like making sure that you're creating those connection points with people where you're being humanized through this content. People feel that connection to you. They feel like they know you, and those are the things that keep the super fans coming back and promoting you and feeling a purpose to connect with you and promote you even more.
No, it's absolutely true. And we work with lots of clients who have recording studios, and they are very active on socials. Not just talking about the technical stuff, but taking the time and effort to actually make it look as though coming to their place of work looks like it would be a fun thing to do. And remember, people are going to like your music, or people might like the records you've made in your studio. But if they can actually get a little glimpse of what life might be like if they hired that producer to help with their music, that is so valuable. So valuable. And I get it. A lot of people behind the console, they are not the extroverts. They are not the, hi everybody, how you doing? I want to be out in front of everybody. No. One of the reasons producers are producers is because they like to kind of blend into the background. But if you just take a little extra time and effort and you're consistent and you're not afraid to show the world what you're all about, it will be a game changer for you.
Yeah, I agree. I guess that's the biggest lesson here is just like finding those connection points with people and figuring out some way of bringing them into your world and not just, here's our stuff, consume it. It's just like, no, let's connect. And here's our content to bring you behind the scenes and show you what we're doing, like building up hype for the release of a record or something like that with, all that behind the scenes promo content, all that kind of stuff. I think that's all really important. So then as far as you release video content or you're releasing social media content, that kind of stuff, like what kind of metrics should people be paying attention to make sure that their stuff is actually working right?
Well, that is a tough one because you've got so many different variables. You have got, okay, I tried posting during the afternoons during the week. I didn't get much traction. But then I tried doing a post at 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, and it blew up. What's going on here? Then there is length. Brevity is not my strong point. Obviously, anyone watching, you can see I like to tell the stories. Anyway, the length of it. Sometimes people will say, Gesner, you gotta dial it back a little, and you gotta like maybe make things a little shorter. So everything is an experiment. And so when it comes to all of this online content, it really is trial and error. And you're better off to try something and fail than do nothing and succeed. Please don't be too precious about any of this. Come on, man. It's just a post, right? But I get it. A lot of people who are very much into the technical virtuosity and the sonic vibrations and the perfect mix, they take all of that attention to detail to their online presence. And they're so hell-bent on getting it perfect that they completely forget. It's not about being perfect. It's just about showing up and being there and being your freaking self.
And I think that, again, going back to what we were talking about as far as connection, personal connection there, it's like those imperfections sometimes are also the things that create those connections even further. People see like a vulnerable side of you, or I don't know, you gave that example of like being a fan of a certain team. Some people might be like, oh, fuck, I hate that team or whatever. But then it creates this kind of like, there is like a talking point there, that now people can go back and forth with and interact with their fans with and that kind of thing. So yeah, I agree with that too. Like you just can't be precious about like pleasing everyone or even thinking about pleasing people in the first place. I think sometimes just putting out content for the sake of content that takes people behind the scenes and just humanizes you like that can go very far. You never know.
What propelled you to start this wonderful transmission? And have you noticed your competition out there also wants to bring new business into their studios? How they're just like shaking their head. It's like, he was so smart to begin MasterYourMix. What a smart marketing guy. Have you noticed that?
I definitely noticed that like starting this has helped bring new clients into my world for sure. And to be honest, like I started this as MasterYourMix started off as a website for me to offer online mastering services. So for me, I was creating content to help people finish their mixes because the next logical step was to come get mastering, right? So like it was a marketing thing for sure. I didn't mean for it to be that initially. Like initially it was just like, I'm just going to chat about this stuff and see what catches on. But then I started to realize that like the benefit of that, right? So yeah, I mean, to tie it back into all of this stuff, I think, yeah, you kind of just have to learn like what content people resonate with in your audience. And then from there, I think the more you create that connection, the more they realize the value that you offer or that your music offers, the more likely they are to keep paying attention, I suppose,
Have you noticed that some people come to you for your fine services? They know the services are good, but one of the reasons they're coming to you is because they like you.
Of course. Yeah, you people find the people that they resonate with, and then that's who they want to be around, right?
Yeah. And are lots of your clients referrals of your happy clients?
Of course.
Yeah. It's the same in the music world. You make happy fans, they're going to tell more of their friends and family. They got to check you out. And it's the way to do it. No reason to have to spend extra money with ads and billboards and big full page ads in it's just best advertising is word of mouth. So make great music, be consistent, keep posting, be proud of your work. Don't be too precious about what you post, and the sky's the limit.
Yep. Well, I think that's a perfect place to wrap things up because it kind of sums it all up here. So, yeah, Andy, thank you for taking the time to hop on here today. And yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people listening to this who are trying to figure out how to release their music. And there's definitely a lot of great things in here that people can latch onto and start to implement in their own process too. So, yeah, I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. And if you visit HIP, Hedgehog Independent Promotions, hipvideopromo.com, you'll get everything you need to know about our little world here in the Great Garden State. Our YouTube channel, I do have my own web series podcast. It's called Hip to the Scene. You can find it there at Hip Video. And all of our socials are at Hip Video Promo. And I am the person in charge. And I actually encourage you to give me a call, 732-613-1779. And in a world where so many music marketing companies, not only do you not speak to the person in charge, you don't speak to anyone. You can actually pick up the phone whenever you've seen this transmission. Give me a call and we can chat about your music and your upcoming musical projects.
Love it. Well, thank you again for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Mike.
So that was my interview with Andy Gesner. And man, that guy is such a good storyteller. You could tell like he has mastered the art of keeping people captivated with story. And, I think that was a really important lesson of what he shared here today, which is that it's not just a matter of having great music. You have to create story. You have to create connection with your fans. And when it comes to promoting your music, you need to always be thinking about how do we tell the story of the artist? How do we make that story connect with our audience? And what glimpses of our everyday life or behind the scenes kind of stuff can we make so that people feel like we're human? We're not just rock stars, Many of us aren't actually at that level of the clients that he's typically working with, which are these major artists. But even then, it's still true that the story is the thing that people will resonate with. And when a complete stranger comes into your world, you need to make them interested in that story, right? It's like dating. Like you don't just like pick a hot girl and like you're married, you have to connect with that person. You have to see what they're all about. See if you like that person. And if you do, you're going to want to keep seeing them, right? Music is the same way in a lot of ways, where we're trying to make our music evoke emotion, evoke feeling. And then when you think about your favorite bands, you probably know more about those individual members than a lot of the music that you listen to, right? Like your favorite bands are the ones that their story, the members, the inner turmoils and whatever, you have connection points with these artists. So that is what this is all about. And so I know that Andy talked a lot about the importance of making big music videos because that's what he promotes, But I think that the bigger lesson here isn't that you need to spend a ton of money making music videos. It's more important that the videos that you create have to have something that connects to people. And when you nail that, that's what makes it important. And even just thinking about some of my favorite bands' music videos that I love, those are the ones that made me feel something that like I wanted to watch again because they were funny, or, they made me feel like, oh, I get that person, So yeah, I just thought it was an interesting chat. And in today's day and age where social media is so important, I think that if you're ignoring it, you're destined to fail with music. You have to realize that the marketing is such a big part of what goes into music promotion. And obviously, yeah, you need to have great songs, but you need to also understand how to market your music. So that's why I wanted to bring Andy on today. So I hope that you found that helpful and informative, and that it's maybe giving you some new things to think about as far as what kind of things you can be doing with your music, what kind of content you should be creating, and how to maybe budget for the future for when it comes to recording your next record. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed that episode. And if you did, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast. That way you're notified about all new episodes as they go live each and every Wednesday morning. And to kind of harp back to what we talked about earlier in terms of how great music will find its audience, well, you need to have great music. It needs to sound good. And if you're struggling to get your music to sound good and you want one-on-one help to get your music to the level where it sounds professional and that it doesn't just sound like a basement demo, then that is what I'd love to help you out with. And inside of my coaching program, Amplitude, that's exactly what I do. I work with my students to help you figure out what sound it is that you want, and then we reverse engineer that process so that you know exactly what to do during the recording, editing, and mixing stages, and you have a repeatable process for all of your songs moving forward. And we're working one-on-one. I'm showing you exactly what tools to be using, what to be listening for, how to approach your process, what to do now, what to do next, ultimately when you're done with your productions. And all along the way, you're getting feedback to make sure that you're implementing it properly. So yeah, if you want one-on-one help with this, make sure to check out my website, MasterYourMix.com/amplitude, and you can find all the details there. And then on that page, there's a link where you can apply for the program and book a call to speak with me. And then I'd love to learn more about you. I'd love to know more about the music you're making, what's working for you, what's not working for you, where you're feeling stuck, and to ultimately see how I can best help. And if it seems like it's a good fit, then I would love to invite you into the program. And if it's not a good fit, I'll absolutely let you know. I only work with people who I truly believe I can help inside of this program. So yeah, once again, make sure to check it out, MasterYourMix.com/amplitude. And that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed that, and I can't wait to chat with you in the next one. We'll talk soon. Take care. Thanks for listening to the Master Your Mix podcast. Please make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app and leave a review. If you have any questions or comments for the podcast, send an email to questions@masteryourmix.com. And for more information on how to create pro recordings from your home studio, visit MasterYourMix.com.